The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy E Beezy, the Nighthawk in the building, and of course that dude right there is you, the sports guru. So it's Wednesday. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for Game Time Audible. We're here to talk some sports with y'all from all around the world and then some. You know how we like to do it on Wednesday. So without further ado, let me introduce my boy. What's going on, Hugh?
What's going on, man? It's a good week for me, man. I know we get a chance to get some good grubbers in tomorrow, watch a little football in this rivalry week. So yeah, it's a lot going on, man. And I'm gonna keep focus on and stay tuned to all the events that's about to transpire.
Absolutely, y'all. So actually I want to start out with what the world is watching right now. That would be the World Cup coming out of Qatar. And again, just based on what I'm learning about that country, that seemed like the worst place they could have found to have it. You know what I'm saying? You basically go, you can't do nothing, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do nothing in Qatar. I know they paid a boatload of money to get the World Cup there, but that definitely don't add to the situation when you're trying to grow new fan bases and whatnot. You agree, Hugh?
Definitely if you have it somewhere and you're partying, and I think that that's what you want to do first and foremost. But when that's not allowed and it's prohibited, good idea. But then and again, I think it's a smart idea due to the fact that the more drinking and the partying and the more fights and violence can pop off. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid that situation, but for the most part, definitely with people all around the world drinking and partying and doing stuff like that, that's room for disaster. But you never really heard too much enough to go on at these type of games when they're playing World Cup or anything. You never heard no mass shootings or any violence or anything that went
Well,
on
well,
in
you
these
know, the
countries.
security got to be tight at these
Yeah, so
World Cup events. You understand one wrong incident could cause a whole international incident. That's the last thing you want to happen.
yeah, even though they don't want no drinking and everything, I'm pretty sure if they had drinking, you be on your best behavior because you don't want to make a fool out of your country for the first and foremost, man. Because you are representing your country when you're going there. No matter who you are, you could be that one idiot who do something or make a mistake or in the heat of the moment, and then you basically make your whole country look bad. So, yeah, I think it'd be something that they should consider, but at the same time, they're not considering, and I think they just to the point where they got everybody on eggshells because they don't want anything to transpire, especially in their country. But yeah, man. Besides that, though, it looks like the event's been going pretty well. I haven't really tuned in and watched any games. The most I've watched when I was doing a little rehab, but yeah, man, it's really popular, man. How they say we get like 31 million people watching the Super Bowl. They say it'd be like 1.4 billion people around the world watching, FIFA and the World Cup. So that was amazing to me because I heard them talk about it and they were saying basically, because one of the gentlemen from Argentina, one from Mexico, you had one of the ladies even from Poland who works at my rehab center, which was pretty interesting to hear their takes on everything and to know that the Argentinians, guy, he took it real serious and he was really a huge fan. Jose was more laid back and wasn't really stressing about it. The girl from Poland, like she doesn't really watch soccer as much. And you'd be surprised at how people get caught up in our American culture, man. And don't even really buy into the hype. But I got one of my boys, Tony, man, at the job where he would go to Spain to watch a game, whenever he get a chance. So yeah, it's really big, and I start to really appreciate it more when I talk to Tony, my boy Alec, and other people who are from different countries, and to figure that them watching and respecting the game. One of my other homegirls too, she from Mexico, so yeah, man, a lot of them countries take it serious, man, and it's just not really nothing that's been really, even though they advertise it, I don't think that it's really been promoted as well, and I don't know why it's not as popular, but I know, man, me, I'm just more hardcore. I watch NBA, but if anything, man, I usually like the college sports, man, when it comes to pro women and men, when it comes to hoops, and when it comes to the football with college. And I know my pro stuff too with the football, but I've just more or less got a little bit comfortable in that shell with the MLB, NFL, and college, women and men's, and I feel like I need to expand my horizons a little bit more, but I need to be around someone how we're serious about the NFL. I need to be around someone who's serious about FIFA and the World Cup, man, so I can get more educated on it. And that's all it really would take, I believe, because we got open minds and we would check it out if we knew what the heck was going on.
Well, see, here's the thing, Hugh. Unlike you, I do actually have a pretty good grasp on the game itself in terms of the
What's
rules
your
and
hold up,
how it
E? What's
works.
your hold up?
Huh?
What's your hold up, E? What's your hold up?
Well, see, that's what we got to work out right quick, people. Here's the thing. You and I, we both feel the way that a lot of typical American sports fans feel. We watch that game called soccer or football around the world, and we
Yeah,
tune in for about a good 10 minutes.
we get off
And
track, man.
the main thing you see is them running back and forth, back and
Yeah,
forth. One person get to
no
kick the ball at
goals.
a time, and then sooner or later somebody kicks somebody in the leg. They done fell down, timeout. And it goes on and on for seemingly hours. To this day, I have yet to watch a full soccer match. I don't think at this point in my life I'd be able to do one, even if I went to see it live. It's just a lot of
Mhm.
inactivity throughout the match. Like, people have told me you got to understand the nuances of it, how they set up the defense and the offense and all that. And we have those understandings in other sports, obviously. But when it comes to that soccer, it's like it seems like the setup is just to make sure that okay, when the time comes, 30 hour, 2 hours from now that's our chance to finally score. When most of your typical scores, particularly when you got the best of the best playing from around the world, you got some games like earlier I saw a game where Spain basically blew out who they was playing. They won like 7-0. In soccer terms, that's like blowout. But then I saw a game the other day, and neither one of them scored the whole damn game.
Yeah.
And
So
that
how
was,
is that even determined?
you know, and that was just 15 minutes of torture for me. I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Agree. And I
So
think too
yeah, go
that
ahead.
pace. I think the pace too. When we look at it, people always dog us out about baseball. I'm surprised you didn't slide that in. They always telling us how boring baseball is and how they don't know how we're just true fans of baseball. But you talking about boring, man. I've never seen a game that where in baseball with no team score. Happy
Right.
Thanksgiving.
Let me see. I'm gonna
But
try to find out who that is right quick. You. But
it's weird though, man. I've never really seen like and it's like if you had to pick between soccer and baseball, man, I'd be surprised if anybody would go and say, "Oh, I'm gonna check out soccer." Definitely if you're a true sports fan in our country, in all honesty. But yeah, man, I've seen or tried to watch a game before, and yeah, I did more. The game more or less watched me than I watched that game, and it was because one of my homegirls, Marcy, and my boy Alec, they're huge soccer fans. They said check it out when it was in Brazil, and it was a really huge, nice, spectacular, beginning to it. The intro of the whole thing was wonderful. But as far as watching the game, nah, man, I couldn't even stay woke, man. That was just the nap I needed. It was an excuse to take a nap.
right, like I said, I've watched parts of like 5 of the games. At least I'm giving it a shot. I tried, but I just can't get into it, y'all. It just ain't for me. By the way, that is Mr. Zach checking in. What's going on, Morgan? Glad you came to check us out for a minute. Also, shout out to Karen and Cassandra and Coach Will, who tuned in for a moment or may still be tuning in. Happy holiday to all of you as well. Um, when all is said and done, we just spent the first 8 minutes talking about soccer, and uh, I know a few of the star players and all of that. And when all is said and done, I want USA to win because I'm from USA. Beyond that, I still don't care, man. I still don't care.
Hey, man, how come you didn't get that one cologne I was telling you to grab yesterday from the soccer dude?
Oh, you talking about the Ronaldo? For those of y'all know, whatever his situation is, where he is kind of on the outs with a lot of people, y'all can explain that to us. Because I just know that based on, my viewing of the sports pages here and there. But all said and done, I don't care. I'll be glad when it's over with. Y'all messing up my Fox watch.
Yeah, man, y'all can't be trying to put that on Sunday too and thinking they compete with us, man. I think that commercial was funny when Peyton Manning had. I think it was him and David Beckham, and they were talking, and they was basically saying you don't hear nobody say football moms, and you say soccer moms, and just a little melee that was going on, and I thought that it was actually. Pretty funny, but that was the only advertisement I seen for it, and could care less about it, honestly.
Right. And what's going on, Miss Pat? How ironic you bring up our good friend H2, who actually did like soccer. And basically that's part of why I have the understanding that I do because we kind of had a discussion about it as we discussed many things over the course of the time we knew each other. But definitely that. But yeah, we can move on from that subject.
Can we
Before we
please?
get to sports, I do want to discuss one Tiger Woods for a minute, if you would allow me to. This week he received quite the bonus from the PGA Tour. You want to talk about that for a minute here?
Because I saw that too, man. They need to start bonusing everybody else too, man, like the
Oh, they
Live
don't.
League.
He just received the top bonus, and that bonus, people, was $15 million. Understand, Tiger Woods this year played only 9 rounds of PGA golf, and that 15 million clearly was more than he made playing on the tour this year. But of course, still just a drop in the bucket to the money that Tiger Woods has made in general playing golf. Remember, he is basically the first golf billionaire, which is saying something.
Yeah, that is pretty big, man. That for him to get that, 16 million and to be a billionaire in that type of league because it's competition trying to come out there now, man. And they definitely gotta do what they could to keep the people in their organization. So it's gonna be pretty interesting, man. I want to know how long Liv's gonna be around. And are they going to really get to the point where they're going to start really competing with the PGA Tour? So, yeah, that's something I want to stay tuned to. And that's why I believe a lot of these bonuses and things are coming out right now to give initiative to the people who are still playing in PGA and to keep them satisfied. Because I feel like if people seeing what Liv is making and how much money they're throwing at some of these players, man, and they'll look at it and they might not be as big of a name on the tour and say, man, I can make more here than I ever could in the PGA, and they'll abandon ship. So they just trying to keep people at bay right now. And I think hey, that's a respectful move, if you ask me.
Absolutely. That being said, you go and pick the next topic, Q.
You already know what time it is, E man. We got to jump right into that rivalry week, man. I definitely been intrigued by it, and man, one thing I had to learn this year, and I had a nice piece of humble pie. I don't like tasting that, but no matter what team you are or what you're ranked, man, when it comes to rivalry week, it seems like everybody just stands up to the occasion. You could be a team that haven't won a game and you'll try your best to go all out and win that game. Usually that game is marked on your calendar. And I think the biggest game of that, which pisses me off because it's so early during the day. So when I get up Saturday, I got to just, God's will, I got to make everything done early and get it done quick because that game between Michigan and you know, the team in red. I don't want to say their name. Red and gray,
Yeah,
red,
that team
white, and
down
gray.
south. That's correct.
We gotta yeah, the team down south. We're gonna play them, and I don't like for it to be that early. I like to anticipate it and kind of get my goosebumps or get my nervousness out. But they just basically going right to the point, man. They gonna punch us in the mouth early with that game, and I'm pretty interested in it, man. Hopefully, Kerm is healthy. That's what I'm looking for. Hopefully, Blake is okay because we're gonna need them that game. They had a couple of injuries and some banged up people on that team too, but I believe most of them are going to try to anticipate playing this game because how important it was, and especially the way things happen. With how we end up getting the upper hand on Ohio State last year that they least expected.
Well, keep in mind, I do want to kind of expound on rivalry week. I kind of feel like we're not giving it enough justice. I mean, keep in mind, anybody who's been a college person and who has some type of feel for it, whether you have been to a football game or basketball game, hockey game, baseball game, whatever, in terms of your college, rivalry week is basically something that you as a school, as a student fan base looks forward to every year. Of course, there's the more highly advertised ones, such as the game. And then, of course, you have the Iron Bowl down there between Alabama, Auburn. You got the Apple Bowl, Washington State. You got all the Texas rivalries and whatnot, A&M versus UT, and so on and so forth. And those games are big games in that area, and they also produce lots of revenue for those two teams. So basically, it's going to be a lot of people down in Columbus on Saturday, whether you be Michigan or otherwise, and that's going to produce a lot of money for that particular town, just like it does when they come to Ann Arbor. So that's another reason why I definitely feel these games are good. But then, in terms of the play itself, because keep in mind, you could be a team like take Vanderbilt for instance, and all season you basically have sucked. Okay, you sucked the big one, but then it comes to rivalry week and you play your rival for all intents and purposes. That becomes like your Super Bowl, so to speak. So you can be having a real bad season, knowing you're not going to a bowl or anything else. But if you beat your rival during rivalry week, it kind of gives your team and your season some sort of legitimacy. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so important for all those years that he wasn't able to do it. That yeah, Jim Harbaugh was winning games, but he could never beat that team down south or little brother. So people felt some type of way about that. Yeah, the 10 wins is all fine and good, but we got to win the big games. And for the people locally, the big games is that rivalry game and that game against that other team on the other part of the state. So, these are big games for people, particularly if you are a huge fan or alumni of those teams. So I think a lot of people look forward to rivalry week, no matter what time it is. Like I actually like the fact that the Michigan, them folks game is at noon pretty much every year because that gives you time to go ahead and reflect. It's coming right off the holiday. If you win, you happy and you enjoy that for the rest of the day. If you don't win, of course you're mad, but that give you time to kind of calm down before you get into the NFL the next day. So I myself I love it, and yeah, Quorum definitely is going to be a major factor, but I think the X factor for that game is going to be the quarterback JJ McCarthy. There's a reason why he won the job, and part of it is because they need him to show his whole full skill set this Saturday against OSU. Yeah, just the taste of that just don't sound right. Punk ass, yuck. Anyway, there'll be no talk about the Iron Bowl. I know you got to have some interest in that, Hugh.
Not at all.
Not at all. Why not? That's your team, ain't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't really mean nothing if they're not going to the big dance. I know they try to put it in my face and dangling like a carrot, saying, "Okay, you know you're gonna have that opportunity. You know you still have a chance just in case some of these people lose some of these games during these weeks or stumble." But man, if we're not talking about the top four teams before this whole situation expands, then it's just another game to me. I wouldn't be surprised if I'd be watching another game. Unfortunately, if that come on at noon, I won't be watching it. I'll be
Alabama's actually
watching it.
ranked seventh this week. None of that matters to you.
No, they're not ranked number four, so
So
they're
bottom line,
not in that
in your mind,
nonchalant.
in your mind, is championship or bust.
It always has been. Even whenever I ever told you anything else.
You know I love you, bruh, but you are a horrible sports fan. If that is your mindset, you know how I feel about people that only support the teams that supposedly win all the time. That's just not fun to me. I know a lot of y'all out in the audience, don't get me wrong, a lot of y'all feel the same way you do. So I'm talking to y'all too. Some of y'all only fans of teams that win all the time. I can't do that. Call me a homer for liking all the home squads and whatnot, but y'all know I have other teams in other states that I support too. You know I got my Yukon Lady Huskies and they are playing very well. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but Hugh, come on, man. You can't be like that. They gonna go
If
to a
they're,
New Year's Eve bowl and everything. And it's
I'm a
still
huge
that
fan.
possibility
Get
that
me
they might
wrong.
slide in there.
Everybody from my family, including myself, is from there. So
So how you
I
just gonna
definitely
play them like that, bruh?
definitely look at it like, man, if they're not in the talks of the big game, it's just another game. I know Auburn gonna give it they all, but it's just gonna be something is where I'm not really anticipating as much. And you saying all this crap right now, but if Michigan get blew out, you ain't gonna have that same energy. I want you to
I
keep that
absolutely
energy.
will because I
Michigan,
told you weeks
if
ago,
Michigan get
sir.
embarrassed, if Michigan get embarrassed, you're not gonna have that same energy.
The only way Michigan gets embarrassed is if Corm and everybody else that's hurt doesn't play, and that happens. At which case, how could I be mad about that? That's an instant excuse right there. I can just come with, well, all our people was hurt. I mean, bottom line is, I myself, and this just me, bro. You know I love you. You know I do, man. But I sound crazy saying, "Oh, I'm mad at Michigan. They're 11-1. What a terrible season this is." Because we lost to that team down south. I remember years when we was 5-6 and 7-5. So 11-1, I'm gonna be mad about that, knowing we still going to a good bowl and all of that. We still gonna be top
Y'all
10
still have
ranked.
a chance, though. E being 11-1, though. Don't get that twisted. You still have a chance, and you can still knock on the door to going
And
to
you
the
still
playoffs.
have a chance at 9-2 because you ranked seventh in the college pro. You know that means Georgia loses, TCU loses, Alabama go to the SEC championship game. There it is.
They're not going to that SEC championship game because it's already for Georgia and LSU.
And in the end, LSU is ranked five. So my question is, would you be more upset if LSU end up going instead?
It is what it is this year, man. I'm just looking
See,
at
this
it
is
like,
why,
man,
good people, this is why we got to stay on the NCAA to expand that college playoffs. Because I can't have y'all like this. Even for y'all fans, let's just say Michigan blow out OSU. It's gonna be all y'all OSU fans like, man, we had a terrible year, and y'all gonna be 11-1, going to one of them New Year's Day bowls, making big money for the school and all of that. You still gonna recruit well and everything. Alabama
but
still
one
got the
thing
number one
lost though,
recruiting
E,
class coming in next year.
if they lose to number three Michigan, they will still have an opportunity because their strength of schedule. I definitely believe so.
OSU strength of schedule, theirs is worse than ours, sir.
I still think they'll try to figure a way because LSU starting to get that getting a lot of hype now. because a lot of the players who there definitely Marvin Harrison Jr. and you getting all these guys who coming from that school now, man, to where I would be surprised if they lose one game or if Michigan lose one game and they don't still have a crack at going to the playoffs. That'll surprise me.
You got to
Versus a
find
two
you. Yeah,
that
you got to
lost.
find you a team that you could just enjoy watching without having to worry about if they're gonna be champions or not. We're gonna work on that for you because as a person that just loves sports in general, that's a hard way to watch sports for me. If all I'm thinking is, oh, my team don't, I'm a Lions fan for God's sake. If I felt like that, the way you feel about it, I'd be ready to jump off the bridge by now. After
And
all
I
these,
wouldn't be surprised neither. And I wouldn't be surprised.
and you a Detroit person, and then you a Lions fan. Hmm. Like I said, y'all can weigh in on that. Yep, that's just how I feel. If I'm a sucker for feeling that way, so be it. Anyway, let me get these comments in, Hugh. Who do y'all think will win the Super Bowl this year? What you think, Hugh? Where we at with it now?
That's a good question. Right now, I still feel like the best team in the AFC is Kansas City due to the fact that most of the other teams are kind of inconsistent right now. Surprisingly enough, you have the Patriots knocking on the Bills' door and knocking on the Dolphins' door, but I still feel like with the pencil being over there, that's they cursed because
They ain't going
that
no
all
damn Super Bowl.
flop. I feel like KC definitely on the in the AFC side, but the NFC side, it's going to be between. To me, it looks like the Cowboys and the Eagles. Like whoever go between the two. Yeah, I mean, you still got the Vikings, who's 8-2, but I just really didn't see enough determination in that game, and we was looking for that Kirk Cousins. We basically felt like, will the real Kirk Cousins please stand up, and he stood up in that game. I can't really say it was all his fault because that offensive line kept rushing in on him, and they didn't protect him once the one of the main left tackles got hurt. It's been a problem the whole day after that. But just one person shouldn't tear down what they did and what they built, and for them to get embarrassed like they did, man, 40-3. So yeah, I'm not really sure about them, man. So yeah, between the Eagles and the Cowboys and the NFC and the AFC. I believe it's Kansas City, and you might have a toss up with the Titans because I still feel like if they had a little bit of play from Tannehill, it might have been probably a different outcome. Who knows? But yeah, I definitely feel like Kansas City, though, for sure out the AFC, and it's a toss up with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Which, if I had to lean towards a team, I would go with the Eagles.
Well, at this point, I would agree with you as far as the Chiefs, my family's team, by the way. But in terms of the NFC, I like some of those choices you made. Lord knows if the Cowboys make the Super Bowl, Cowboys fans, y'all gonna be off the hook. We already know. But I will say, people, if you want a sleeper pick in that NFC, don't sleep on them San Francisco 49ers. They
Yeah,
coming together at the right time, and the division's playing out perfectly for them. I would not be
yeah.
surprised if they figure out a way to get there.
Yeah, because they got a lot of momentum going, man. Because a lot of their players was banged up to get a healthy Debo, which we saw. Then you see Kittle healthy, and man, it was like that game. Jimmy Garoppolo was willing and dealing, and yeah, you're right. They're matching at the right time, and I think to any of those teams, where if they play the Eagles or if they play the Cowboys, it'll be a hard match, man. Because yeah, they got Tony Pollard and Zeke played actually exceptionally well. But man, when you got a guy like McCaffrey and then Elijah Moore, man, the guy who don't really get as much props, and man, that dude been averaging 5-6 yards a carry. And then you could put Debo in on some of them gadget plays, and it's just all around. They have so much talent around Jimmy G, and it's like I'm still looking at him right now, even though he's comfortable because he don't really have no competition behind his job, and I'm looking at him still kind of in that Kirk Cousins window. Like, Would the real Jimmy G please stand up? Will he make a mistake, or will he make some bad decisions to where that will cost them like it did last year? Because we easily could have been talking about them being in the Super Bowl last year. It was just when you put a lot on Jimmy G's plate, he definitely couldn't deliver. So yeah, by him having that security blanket and McCaffrey, that might be able to help them versus what they had last year. So yeah, him being in the mix really makes a difference with them and how far they can go.
I mean, bottom line, the defense always been good for the 49ers. Remember, when we started this season, we was looking at Trey Lance at quarterback and figured this was just going to be a development year for the 49ers. But now that it all played out the way it did and they got the extra weapons, they developed the good wide receiving core. They got quality running backs, multiple. And, basically that makes Debo the X factor in all of it. When all is said and done, you gotta like their chances, especially in a division that ain't even close to playing out the way we thought it would. With the
Not at
Rams all
all.
the way down, you got Cardinals with your boy hurt for the time being, and of course Seahawks, who actually are tied for the lead in that division, but we know they're probably not gonna be able to sustain it these last few weeks. So that's why
No,
I put them in that mix.
because they got to play the Seahawks again, don't they?
Yep, I do believe so. Miss Patterson, I think college football the weekend Michigan will win. I had surgery this past Monday and my pain pills are killing me. I'm sleepy. Good night. Good night, Miss Pat. Thanks for checking in. As always, we appreciate you. And
Yeah, we
Jeffrey
appreciate
Rowe, we did not forget you or ignore you. We always appreciate when you check into the show. Thank you very much. Please check in the Road to Stardom. You can find her on
it.
Facebook, on
Definitely appreciate
Instagram,
that.
and check out her show. We always will support her here at the Nighthawk Network because she, of course, always supports us. So please tune in to
Yeah.
Road to Stardom. We would appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And definitely with the people, having Thanksgiving on their mind, man. Just appreciate the people who actually is chiming in because we know it's that time of year, man, that we just want to hang out and chill and be with our loved ones. And I definitely don't want to, not really get off the sports topics, but thank you for the Nighthawk Network family from always having me in any of your best intentions and keeping us in prayers because the last few weeks we needed it, man. And God we've been doing really good right now. And just thankful for all y'all love and support.
Absolutely. Like I said, we still have some challenges ahead on both our ends, but we are very appreciative of the fact that you've shown us love, you've shown us care, you've helped us along the way, and we will always appreciate you for that. Absolutely. Um, we kind of running through this pretty quickly here, Hugh. I do want to say, y'all, again, it is rivalry weekend in the college football. It may be your last opportunity to check out your favorite team for the season. As you know, some teams they're not going to be bowl eligible, so game 12, this is it. For other
Yeah,
teams, basically that last chance to see if they're going to make it to their championship game. Whether you got Big Ten, Pac-12, all of those, and then of course soon after that they'll be talking about bowl selections and all that good stuff. So, I definitely look forward to this time of year in college football because we know this is near the end and this is where all the good games come in. But also it marks the true beginning of the college basketball season. And granted, it hasn't been a lot of marquee matchups per se on the men's side just yet, but I have been checking out a couple, and we definitely will go more in depth into that in the weeks to come. Now that we start to transition over, but there were several good marquee matchups in women's college basketball this week. If you want to kind of
yeah, I
talk
was
about
pretty
them for a
proud of
minute.
it too. 'Cause, my squad scared me. I definitely didn't think the way it was going at first that they were going to beat Stanford unless they put in a little bit more work. But then it went to overtime, and I said, okay, this is the chance for us to pull it off. And yeah, I just feel like it was one of the crucial mistakes with the timeout that they made. They cost them that game, but I think that they'll definitely be seeing them again down the road. But it was just really a good game because it had that playoff atmosphere and it's so early in the year. It was just they basically are number two. So it was gonna be a good matchup. But yeah, it hasn't really been too much outside of that. A lot of games I've been seeing and what I've been putting on my page right now was just been a whole bunch of blowouts. But it has been a few
Well, and
upsets.
it tends to be like that early on in the season for both men and women. I definitely also have to mention, of course, my lady UConn Huskies, who played number 10 North Carolina State. And they kind of had a easy time with them. I was kind of surprised by that, really. But unlike some of the other major teams they're gonna play in the next few weeks, North Carolina State, they really don't have a lot of size up front, and that kind of hurt them. And also, they don't have a lot of good perimeter shooting per se. They're a very scrappy team. They're good in transition. They had some decent defense, but they kind of was like outmanned by UConn in that game. So it wasn't quite the game I thought they would give them. Texas definitely played UConn tougher when they played last week. And then, of course, I'm very unhappy to hear about the injury that happened to Miss Caitlin over there at Iowa. Looks like she's gonna be out for a little bit, and that's unfortunate. But hopefully she'll be back soon because that
Yeah,
team in Iowa, she's a show.
because
Without her, it just ain't quite as good.
they got stunned, man. I think by like Kansas State or somebody. Because when I saw that they lost, I said, "Damn, they lost to them." I
Yeah,
just woke up.
the injury definitely what happened
Yeah,
there. Because
yeah,
before
that
that,
hurt
she had been on fire.
them. That's gonna probably hurt their chances, depending on how long she be out. But yeah, definitely hoping for her to have a quick recovery because she was one of the ones who last year that really put a spark in the game, and for her to go over there and know that she'd be the star and just basically she wanted to have a team that she could carry. I thought that was big of her, but her being hurt, there's not really too much to discuss about Iowa now. So yeah, I'm definitely surprised. Like teams like Texas and Tennessee are not doing what you thought they
Yeah,
would
I
do.
really don't know what's going on with that Tennessee squad. They really not doing too well. But on the men's side, on the other hand, I'm kind of impressed with the fact that Duke's still playing pretty good with dealing with life without Coach K.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they was going to be able to still adjust because that's one of the best teams in college when it comes to adjusting, man. They've done it for so long because, man, Coach K, man, has been such a big factor in, college sports and just the NBA as well when it comes to the Olympics. So, yeah, but that's good, though, man, to see that them still playing well because I still feel like, regardless in sports, man, definitely when it comes to college sports, Duke always will be a good team, or it makes for better basketball when Duke's playing well.
Yeah, it's like that, particularly with certain squads when you got Duke playing good, UCLA, USC. You like to see them playing well. Of course, any of the powerhouses in the Big Ten. Even the SEC is playing pretty good basketball down there with Alabama and Tennessee,
Hmm.
Kentucky, all looking pretty good early on. So definitely looking forward to seeing more college basketball in the weeks to come. Now that college football kind of getting into that part of the season.
Yep. And since they're getting in that part of the season, we might as well do the pick 'em right now, man. With the college games, Thanksgiving Day, they actually have a game at 7 p.m. Mississippi State against Ole Miss. Who you got in that game?
Well, again, that's one of those classic rivalry games we talked about.
Hmm.
I forget what trophy that one is. It's hard to keep up with all them trophies. But
Yeah.
I gotta definitely go with Ole Miss in that one, particularly
Oh
since
yeah, that's the egg, that's the Egg Bowl.
right, that is the A ball. You're right. And of course, it's been quite a bit of talk these last few days about one Lane Kiffin. They basically feel like he's ready to move on. That's kind of what Lane does. You go to a program, they'll play good for a few years, but he always seems to be looking to take that next step up. He ain't never really satisfied. So of course, Auburn kind of threw his name in the hat for possibly replacing that coach. Obviously they would like that because of his experience playing and working with Coach Saban, figuring that would kind of get him a bit of an upper hand if he coaches Auburn. Not to mention that would put the rivalry on a whole new level because
Yeah, it
him and
really
Saban
will.
ain't necessarily the best of friends these days. So
They
that
try to play like
I
that.
don't think he does it unless they break him off a nice payday because he actually got a pretty good setup going on there at Ole Miss.
I think he actually laughed at that offer too, and he basically checked the person who put that in the report and said, "You know more than I know, man, because I had no idea I had any intentions of going over there to coach them." And yeah, man, you never
But
know
yeah,
because you don't.
according to other sources, they did have a meeting. So, I can't trust Lane Kiffin worth a damn. He didn't laugh
That's
about it.
About to say, with Lane Kiffin, man, he had histories like where he was at Tennessee, he left, went to UFC, he left, and he was just bouncing around from school to school. And so, yeah, man, even in the NFL, man, he didn't have it his way when he with the Raiders, and he left then, man. He's known for jumping ship and pretty fast, man. And he's just someone I don't think that would never want to be in one place. Depends on where the money is, and if the money's good, that's where he want to go. And it's unfortunate, but that's just Lane Kiffin and how he handles business.
But keep in mind, your Coach Saban was like that for a while. Remember, he had his time over at Akron, then he came to Michigan State, jumped ship, went to LSU, jumped ship to Miami. Pro football didn't work out for him. Went on to Alabama, and basically, anytime they feel like he's starting to get that itch, Alabama just open the checkbook and be like, "No, you ain't going nowhere. Here it is. You can't walk away from this." Usually, it's some ridiculous amount that he can't walk away from. So at this point, I wouldn't see why Coach Saban would want to be anywhere but Alabama. I mean,
All right,
bottom line, your statue going right next to Bear Bryant. So
Tulane and Cincinnati.
why you change the subject as soon as I brought up Alabama again, Hugh?
Oh
I'm
man, I was doing the pick 'em. E and I know you're aware of me doing the pick 'em.
All right, who you got next, Hugh?
Tulane and Cincinnati.
Now, see, I think now it's your turn to mess with me. You know how I feel about that whole Cincinnati thing, man. I'm going with Cincinnati, but that's a game I don't care nothing about.
I'm
Tulane or
glad you mentioned it, man. We can move on, E, because I definitely knew you would go fill me out on that one. Um, Baylor and Texas. That's an interesting one.
Now that actually is an interesting game, and it's an interesting game no matter what sport they playing each other against, because there is that interstate rivalry, and Texas is a big football state, huge football state. You got thousands of people showing up to PAL and Powder Puff games down in Texas. They love their football, so it don't too much matter who Texas play. If it's a Texas rival, that's gonna make for a good game. Baylor actually decent this year. Texas, still working out some things. But I do believe Texas will win that game. But it would not shock me if not Buffalo, if Baylor get them a game.
I wouldn't be surprised neither because I definitely think that's a game that they can actually take from them boys, man. Because it's gonna be a good game, and I'm interested in it. But definitely wouldn't be surprised if Baylor get the so-called upset because they're so evenly matched. I don't even really see they only just one game from not being ranked right now with Baylor, and they have some surprising losses to me. But at the same time, Texas had a couple of surprise losses as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Thing
I
is,
think
they both have better basketball teams than they do football teams right now. So I'd be pretty interested to see them play each other in basketball as well.
here go another one, man. This one kind of intriguing, but not too intriguing. I was just surprised that North Carolina record is so well right now with North Carolina and North Carolina State.
Again, another great rivalry game. North Carolina State, absolutely. Even though a lot of people, because we go to the whole basketball thing, we look at Duke as being their rival, but in football, not the case. Duke ain't really had many good football teams over the years, to be honest. So for them, it's pretty much this. That being said, it's definitely going to be a big crowd in that game. Usually in those types of states and those rivalry games, it's pretty 50-50 in terms of the crowd. So that makes it interesting as well. North Carolina had an interesting season. When we go back to their whole little debacle with, I believe it was Appalachian State early in the season,
Yeah,
that was seen as a big upset in the making at the time, but
yeah.
Appalachian State ended up being pretty good. But that being said, I'm going with Carolina. Again, it's a rivalry game, so anything can happen. But I go with
Hey,
Carolina.
this one hasn't had too much sizzle around it for a while, man. But still another rivalry game we're gonna have to discuss. UCLA versus California.
Well, see, that's going to kind of be a letdown game at this point for UCLA. Remember, their rivalry game was a week ago when they played USC, and of course they lost to USC, and USC right in the mix with everybody else right now. They ranked just one ahead of Alabama at this point. Sorry, but it is. But anyway, California, they ain't been a good football school in a minute now. So it could go one or two ways. UCLA could be like, well, we don't even care about this game no more. Or they could go in there and be like, yeah, we gonna make y'all pay for what happened to us last week. We about to light that ass set. Bottom line, I got UCLA all day, but it may be one of them where let's just kind of play through this one and wait for our bowl selection.
I haven't think they was even that good of a team after the running back who we had for the Lions. I forgot his name. If anybody know it, please hit me off with his name. The guy who he had a great career in
You talk
college,
about
but then,
California?
huh?
You talk about the California running back?
Yeah,
Jolly Best.
Javid Best. I thought it was Travis at first, but yeah, that's the basketball player. But yeah,
Exactly.
man, if you ever seen that video, that was like almost like their last game too that he had to play, and the actual hit that he had, and he landed on his head first, and then his body came down after. They haven't been legit after that, man, and I haven't seen nothing from them,
Well,
so I
you
don't
got to
even look at
remember
that
they had another pretty good running back that went to California as well. You don't know who he is?
Who was it? Shane Vereen?
No, sir. I'm talking about the great one himself, Mister. I'm just gonna talk to the press so I don't get fined.
Oh yeah,
Drew
dang, you know
Brees.
what? You're right. Dang, he did come out a little bit before him, but
Absolutely.
yeah, surprisingly enough, man. Besides running backs, man, I haven't really seen nobody. Have you ever seen like a receiver or too many people like that? They haven't really been producing a lot of good guys out
No,
there.
there's been a lot of good anybody come out of California in terms of pro
Actually.
athletes, really, in the
And
last
then
decade or so.
we got the big hitter right here, man, because the two teams is so closely ranked, man, and which is the team from down south versus Michigan.
I mean, that's clearly not only the big game of the day, but definitely arguably one of the top three games of the year. It all boiled down this. We all was hoping that when they got to play each other, they both be undefeated. We got that much. Uh, Ohio State a couple weeks ago had a questionable game against Northwestern. We had a questionable game last week against Illinois. There's a lot of people that's on the injury list for both squads, so it'll be interesting to see who gets themselves up to play. Bottom line is, I said if you 80% healthy, this Michigan Ohio State, you playing. Ain't no doubt
Right.
about it. So if all people do play, I think we're gonna get a great game. In the ideal world, if everybody was healthy, I would pick Michigan, not just because I'm a Michigan fan, but because I like the fact that they are a running football team. And from what we've seen this year from Ohio State, they've had their trouble with teams that are good running teams. Also, the fact that the weather may be an issue on Saturday, as it is forecasted a 30 to 40% chance of rain down in Columbus. And weather definitely was a factor in last year's game that played to the advantage of the Wolverines. A rainy day where basically they're not going to be able to pass as well also plays to the advantage of the Wolverines yet again, as they have a better offensive line and between him and Edwards, a better tandem of running backs, I think, than last year. No disrespect to Mr. Haskins.
Yeah, because that was gonna definitely be one for the ages, man. I still feel like you can lose one of them games and still be in. With that being said, though, man, yeah, I ain't think about TCU, man. So yeah, that they're still in that mix too. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. They actually,
I will say this: if TCU loses this weekend, they're done. They will not make the playoffs. I can promise you that. I
nah,
don't
man,
do that.
they better not lose that game because they'll probably be out of the top 25 losing to that team. And then you have the Iron Bowl. That's at 3:30. 5-6 Auburn against 9-2 Alabama.
Why you say it like that, you? With such disgust. 9-2. You know how many teams wish they could be 9-2?
Huh?
You know how many teams wish they could be 9-2?
And
How many
you
teams would
over
love that?
exaggerating.
I know my alma mater would love to be 9-2 right now. Easter would
You
take
tripping
that.
out, man.
We only ranked six out of 500 something schools. Dang, we suck. Even though we're
Hey
gonna have
man,
12, 13 people go to the pros this year. I just don't
you want
understand.
you want to drag this out, and you gonna give the pick, man.
Man, you already know who I'm going with. I'm going with your squad, Alabama.
This is a funky game. I don't even know how this is even being played. They got Georgia with it by 40. Georgia Tech.
Well, again, it's a rivalry game. You know that's why they playing. And maybe every 5 or 6 years, Georgia Tech kind of give it. Remember, Georgia Tech, one of them programs where basically it don't matter what year it is, they still going with the same style of offense. You know, Georgia Tech pretty much like your navies and your armies and
Triple
your,
option.
they go to triple option, the wishbone. You know that good old offense where it's not a hard offense to learn, but it is a hard offense to defend because it's got a lot of different little nuances you can go with. But in the end, they running it. So if you can stop the run, it's gonna make for a long day for Georgia Tech, as it has on several of the teams that they lost to this year. If you can't stop the run, then it makes a long day for you. That being said, Georgia got one of the best defenses in America. I don't think it's gonna be a 40 pointer because it's still a rivalry game, but I see them getting at least 4 touchdowns up on
South Carolina and Clemson.
again another rivalry game. That being said, Clemson is about three shades better than South Carolina, so even no matter who play quarterback, I still don't. That's probably like a 2 touchdown win for Clemson
Yep,
because you
correct.
know, despite it all, they still in the mix for the playoffs.
You have this was a weird one. Louisville versus Kentucky, and Louisville's ranked 25, and they still have Kentucky winning and having them as a 3-point favor.
I would care a lot more if this was basketball we was talking, because Louisville, Kentucky, that's one of the best rivalries in all of college basketball. In football, not so much. Not so much.
Okay, something that I don't really pay attention to as much. I don't know. I know it's a rivalry because of the last names, but Oregon and Oregon State.
Now, see, don't be surprised if that's a little better game than you would anticipate. You would
Hmm.
think, oh yeah, Oregon gonna blow them out of the water. But in terms of rivalry games, that Oregon State, and that Washington State are usually very competitive games. Even if the other team they play suck. Because there's been some years in recent years, Oregon State has not been good at all. But when it comes to that game, they show up and show out a little bit. So don't be surprised that's actually a better game than you think. And if you just like college atmosphere and all of that, either one of those games that I mentioned would be good games to watch. I really enjoyed last year watching part of that Washington State game because I do believe, if I remember correctly, they played in the snow, and that made for a real interesting game. It was snowing.
I can pick this one for you. Iowa State, TCU. I'm surprised though, because they actually only have TCU in it by 10 points.
Well, I haven't seen Iowa State play this year, so I really don't know. Usually they have a pretty
Okay.
decent running back at Iowa State, so maybe that's part of why they probably plan on running
Michigan,
the ball and kind of slowing down that offense there.
Michigan State, Penn State. I can pick that for you because I definitely will pick the Penn State Tiger over the Nittany Tigers with the 18.5 point favor.
Man, I don't even like you for doing that. That being said, you just keeping it real. I want y'all to win this party. Don't get me wrong, because y'all need this game to be bowl eligible. But remember, all those guys that fought in the tunnel, they still gonna be out this game. And Penn State better than most teams in the Big Ten this year,
And there's a
including
lot of
y'all.
them guys, yeah, like 7, 8.
Hey, it'd be nice if y'all show up and win that, but I don't think it's gonna happen either.
Utah, Colorado.
Now I'm surprised that that's the game that's playing and not Utah BYU.
Man, me and you both, especially the fact how bad Colorado is this
I
year.
don't know if Utah's played BYU. I mean, I know they can play somewhere in there, but maybe they played that game already. I just missed it. But Colorado is one of the worst uh, Power Five teams in all of college football. They are horrible. I seen them when they played Colorado State, and remember, Colorado State wasn't that great. Remember how Michigan whooped up on them, and that was so not a good game. Yeah, and Utah actually a pretty good Pac-12 team, so yeah, that might get
Mhm.
ugly. That might get real ugly.
LSU and Texas A&M, the team that was supposed to be.
Well, Texas A&M, here's your chance, buddy. Y'all was supposed to be in the mix. Remember, beginning of the season, I think they was ranked what number 5.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be in this thing, and y'all know Texas A&M that had their share of good and bad this year. But I think you basically saved your coach's job with this win. If y'all can find a way to beat LSU or at least make it competitive, I think that gets him off the hot seat till next year. If y'all get blew out by LSU, I think we may get that announcement as early as Monday that they gonna buy out Jimbo and move on to the next. And I already know somebody's name that's gonna definitely be in the hat for that job if that's the case. We talked about it earlier. You,
Yeah. Mr. Primetime Deion Sanders himself.
yes, sir. And it being Texas where he's from and all that, and his ability to recruit, which has definitely helped him at Jackson State. Imagine if you had the type of budget that Texas A&M gonna lay out. Not to mention, you know how Prime like his money, and Texas A&M, those rich oil donors, yeah, they got the money for them.
With that one, the UCF versus South Florida game. That's gonna be
That
another
actually
funky game.
might be a pretty decent game. Neither one of them teams haven't done no great stuff this season, but in terms of rivalry game, the fact that Florida and a lot of those kids are from Florida, I think that will definitely be something where they want to show their peoples, yeah, we good like that, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that game. If I'm not watching one of the other ones, but
And
yeah,
this a trap.
it's a pick 'em. I don't know who's gonna win that game. I have no idea.
This a good trap game, bro. This is the one that after I seen the Michigan game, I said it's not really nothing on the board until I made a mistake and I went across this game. Check this one out, E. You got 10-1 USC versus 8-3 Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good game as well. I would definitely say that's one of the top games of the weekend. Again, Notre Dame is more important for them to win this game than USC. I say that because they got off to a pretty bad start Notre Dame this season with losing to that team down south and then not playing so well for those couple weeks after that. But it's recruiting season along with everything else. It definitely plays up well if Notre Dame beats USC, particularly since USC will soon find themselves in the Big Ten. That is kind of a good recruiting point for Notre Dame. Like, yeah, we beat all the top squads. See, we beat them and them. That being said, I still don't see why Notre Dame ain't finally just manned up and decided, look, okay, it's time to join the Big Ten and let's do this. That's more money for everybody involved as far as I'm concerned. And of course, that Michigan Notre Dame rivalry, I love that.
Me too. I would definitely like to continue to see that one with them going to the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
Tennessee and Vandy.
Hold on, road checking in here. Do you think Atlanta is going to beat the Commanders? Well, I imagine we is about to go to the NFL next, are we?
Yep.
All right. Well, you can start there, Hugh.
You know what? Depends on how well Mariota plays too. And you know me, man. I'm not like really too much of a heckler. I want to see if it's going to be a home or is it a road game for them. It's going to be kind of tough because they're going to be on the road and Washington's good on the road. And then I know Chase Younger will be coming back playing. That probably be a nice little booster over there. But I still feel like Atlanta still have an opportunity regardless of where they at and where they playing, even though they have Washington Commanders by 4.5, I would take the over, and I think that yeah, I think Atlanta can beat them at home. You know, because
But I'm
Mariota been
taking
playing pretty.
I'm taking the over as well, but I'm going with the Commanders, man, because that dude Heineke hot. And y'all know if
I
y'all listen to past episodes of Gametime Audible how I felt about young Taylor Heineke, but
would Heineken.
right now he's probably one of the hottest quarterbacks in football. I think they keep it
He-
rolling this week.
I wouldn't even be surprised at that neither. And if that happened, you know that'd be to my favorite Eagle. Let's be honest. All right, man. We're gonna go to the Thanksgiving games. We're just about to get straight to it.
Let's
You
do
got the
it.
Buffalo Bills staying here in Detroit.
I gotta keep it real. Winning streak over, y'all. You know I love the Lions. Crazy as that sound out loud, but yeah, I have a very hard time finding a way to beat Buffalo. Even with your boy Josh Allen not quite playing as well as he did early in the season. I don't think he makes enough mistakes to where we pull that off. They definitely gonna score on us. We definitely gonna try to run the ball, but keep in mind they got one of the better run defenses in the league. Then we're gonna see a lot of that dude Miller and his boys all up on young Jared Goff and pressuring him like he's not been pressured this season. And you know when you pressure Jared Goff, you could definitely make bad things happen. So yeah, I'm definitely going with the Bills, and I say they win by at least 10.
Yeah, they got a 9.5. I definitely can see that too because of the fact is, no disrespect to the Detroit Lions, but I think they got on track last week when they start doing better job of the run game. If you respect the run game and you do better in the run game, that can definitely help out. And if they just stick to the basics and Josh Allen stop trying to play so much hero ball, I definitely feel like they can come out of Detroit with the win.
I mean,
All
bottom
right.
line is the Lions still got a few things that's to their favor later on in the season, so it won't be the last time they win the season. They got a couple more good opportunities later on down the line.
Then you have the G-Men, New York Giants going to Dallas.
Some freaking Cowboys winning that game, y'all. As much as us who love to hate on the Cowboy fans, they winning that game. Okay, you seen how the Giants was last week. Basically, if you get to Daniel Jones makes mistakes, just like Jared Goff, maybe even more so. Bottom line, Saquon gonna definitely have something to prove this week. You will not hold him to another 20 something yards this week. That ain't happening. But keep in mind, I understand that Dallas and shout out to this young man, Sam Houston State's finest athlete. What's going on, Keon? 6-0, my brother. Y'all 6-0 down there, upsetting Utah things. It's looking good down there with them Bearcats. Good job, boys. Good job. But yeah, that being said, Dallas is going to beat that butt up too. They're not gonna win no 40-3 this week though. That ain't happening. But I definitely see them getting up a couple touchdowns and finish them boys off by the third quarter. Just in time for you to eat your sweet potato, your pumpkin pie.
Yeah, they got them boys up by 10 too. Dallas a 10-point favor.
And
Surprisingly enough,
that's a good point set right there. I wouldn't mess with it. Just picking them
um,
in straight up on the money line, y'all.
New England Patriots versus the Minnesota Vikings going to into Minnesota.
You always gotta have that one dud on Thanksgiving now that they decided we gotta have 3 games. Usually it's the Lions game that's the dud, but no, this year it's that one. No one cares. Minnesota should win that one. But
Hmm.
again, would not be surprised if they didn't. You know that Kirk Cousins, even at this point in the season, still kind of a hard dude to get a feel for. Either he can come out there and look like he about to go to the Hall of Fame and get you talking that you like that, don't you? You like that. Or Patriots could shut down Jefferson and Dalvin Cook mess around, get hurt, and it's all on Kirk, and yeah, it gets ugly.
Yeah, they barely had them winning. They got them by like 2.5 at
I like
home.
they should beat the Patriots. I think they will, but again, will not surprise me. Look at Keon. He said
No,
the
Dallas
Dallas
by
Cowboys
20.
won.
The way the Giants played last week, I wouldn't even be surprised, man, because Detroit went in a house and they basically told them that this is our house. Who would have expected Detroit to go in a house and whoop them like that? So yeah, I wouldn't be. That definitely wouldn't surprise me. All right.
Absolutely.
I think this is the game before your boy come back too, E man.
It is.
So I'm gonna be honest with you on this one. The Buccaneers and Browns. I have the Buccaneers in this one by 7.5, even though
Uh,
they in Cleveland.
I mean, bottom line, Buccaneers should win that game. They've been on a bye. They had time to work out some stuff, get some people healthy. Browns suck. They continue to suck. They'll be better next week, of course, when they get Deshaun back. He has been practicing in the facility, and of course, they got a nice game for him to start off with those Houston Texans, who, by the way, had to switch the quarterback. By
Game.
the way, that news came down the pike earlier today. The Texans switching over to the other quarterback. I will call it that because it really don't matter. I don't see either one of them being the quarterback next year when they draft ABC, Young, Stroud. Uh, Pick one. Bottom line, that person probably gonna be the quarterback next year. But all that being said, yeah, Brady and had some time to chill and spend some time with his kids and all that. There, he should be in a good frame of mind. Yeah, I don't even know what the point spread is. It don't matter. Bucks winning that one.
Interesting. The Bengals at Tennessee Titans.
Bengals at Tennessee. That should be a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really pick that one, to be honest. I don't think that's one I would mess with. That's a pick
You're
'em.
gonna laugh at this one. They have the Bengals by 2.5 on the
I ain't
road.
mad at it, but I can see that go. I mean, we seen how NFL been this year. Based on
Yeah,
that, I
it's
can't mess with
been a
it.
roller coaster.
I
It's
can't
been a
do it.
roller coaster. And your boy D Watt's finest team, the Texans, taking on the Miami Dolphins in Miami.
Quit playing. Dolphins all
Yeah, they
day.
like
Blow
13.
out,
And I
blow
take the
out. Take the points. What's the
you got
point?
well, your boy just got dethroned today because of some of the comments he made after Zach Wilson threw up that dud
Hey,
against
now
New
we
England.
finally got to this. We should have mentioned that early on. Let me talk
I,
about this dude, Zach Wilson, okay? I don't recall any multiple week situation where Zach was lighting the world on fire, first of all. I honestly felt like they played better this year when they had Flacco playing quarterback.
agree.
When a lot of people talk about Zach Wilson, people want to know they usually use the word immature. There's his type of immature, and then there's the Cam Newton type of immature. Remember, they use that word a lot about him and Jameis Winston early on in their career. Those two people figured it out. I don't think Zach is going to, or at least not going to have the opportunity to do so. They put in that kid Mike White. A lot of people that's been around the organization says that they felt like he was the better quarterback all along, but because Zach Wilson was picked number two, they had to see what they had. I think we've done that. If Mike White wins a couple of these games, Wilson's done, y'all. I think you'll see him somewhere in Cleveland or Carolina or Texas trying to be the backup next year.
All right, man. You have the oh my God, this is an awful one, man. I'm about to get sick. The Broncos and the Panthers. You all right over there, E?
No comment.
Okay. We go another down with E Jesus. The Ravens and the Jaguars. Kind of figured you picked the Ravens too. Okay, we're gonna move on. Oh man, these games are getting rough for me, bro. The Chargers and the Cardinals.
I think I ain't gonna be watching a lot of football this Sunday. I see that now. It ain't gonna be much going on this
These are
Sunday.
games, man. Some of these, I think they're
And,
the
and you still probably gonna have the youngster with his doggone hamstring pull out. No, mm-mm.
oh yeah, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, that guy. Nah, uh-uh.
You got the Raiders and the Seahawks.
I'll go with the Seahawks on that one. Obviously, I feel bad for Devontae Adams. I really do. He made the wrong decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Him picking his buddy, man, and betting on his buddy definitely didn't go so
Even though
well.
I understand why he did it, he still made the wrong decision.
One game that I thought was going to be at least half decent when I first saw it on the calendar this year. It was a great game in the past when Jared Goff was with the Rams, but it will be one of the worst games that I've seen in a while because now I found out Matthew Stafford may not be playing. It's a possibility. Even if he play, it doesn't matter because the Rams are playing the Chiefs at home.
I don't think it mattered if he played and was 100. Well, let's be honest. Matthew ain't been 100% healthy at all this year. Not one game.
Hmm.
That's part of the problem. But at any rate, I'm interested to see what Twitter comments are made during this game, particularly if the Chiefs go up big as we expect they will. And when I say Twitter comment, I mean one person in particular, one OBJ, who has said that he will probably make his decision in regards to where he's going sometime in this next week or two, so he can get a couple of weeks of practice in before he plays his last 3, 4 games. But
I'm getting
yeah,
tired.
I definitely got the MVP, his tight end buddy, and the rest of the crew whooping up on them pretty good.
Yep, they got them by like 15 and a half. You going with that?
Hey, I think I would if Matthew don't play.
That's one of the biggest whoopers I've seen in the NFL this year,
Remember,
man.
Cup is out too. Yeah, I think I might go with that. As
You
how
know
much
what?
of a point spread that is.
You know what's surprising to me too? I seen your cousin Keon said that he got Dallas by 21, but I thought the actual this game right here I thought would have been worse. I'm surprised they're only giving the 49ers 9.5 on this game. They're at home and they're facing the New Orleans Saints. I would pick that one by 21.
Like I said, this ain't gonna be no good week. It might be good from a gambler standpoint because y'all might be able to make up some of that money you done lost during the season on them weeks where you just knew that team was winning and they did. Yeah, I understand. I understand.
I'm going for it, E. I'm doing it again. I got
All
that
right,
itch.
man.
I check this game out, E. The Packers and the Eagles in Philly.
Well, it's gonna be another long day for your boy Aaron Rodgers. They coming after him. We already know the plan. Rushing. Keep rushing. Keep rushing.
And now they got
I
Sue
think
over
he's
there
gonna
too.
pass 6 sacks. That might be a good week for you to take that Philadelphia Eagle defense if you're playing that fantasy football.
Yes, sir. Oh my God, look at this one, E, man. Check this out. They don't do us like this on a Monday. This is how they did us on a Monday. This is gonna be a rough week, man. So I think if you just want to sleep in, man, or if you're working, just work all day. I wouldn't even look at the radio or listen to the radio or look at my phone. This is our Monday game to start off the week. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Indianapolis Colts.
I think we're gonna be watching a lot of NBA this week. That's what I think. It's gonna be a lot of NBA
Mm,
watch this weekend in
agree with
stadium.
that one,
A
bro.
lot
I
of
think
college
this game gonna get
basketball.
ugly.
Rose said she got
And
the
you
Eagles
got
that game hands down. Absolutely. I agree, Rose. I
funny
agree.
thing he said too, Roll, was the fact that whoever got the Eagles defense need to go ahead and put them in. I actually have them in the Cowboys. I still feel like in this case, though, I might put in them boys, man, the way they've been playing.
Hmm. And like
That's
I said,
actually
just based on some of them games, this would be a good week to try to figure out what team gonna score. Because remember, team defense, if you playing like the anytime scorer, you usually get a nice little hit if you pick the right defense to score. This would be a good week to try to figure out who's gonna get that pick six and take it to the house.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Trevon Diggs, man, and I'm looking at a couple of things that I'm looking at in my favor right now because I just look at it and I feel like the Giants don't need to have a bad effort like they did in back-to-back games. But if you would have told me, like I said, E, that the Lions was not only going to go up there to New York, but just to whoop them and own them in their stadium like that, and for them to make, my man's Daniels make those bad decisions. Because when Daniels ran that one quarter, that one run in when we scored, and he ran one back in and scored the touchdown, I said this is going to be an interesting game. But I didn't think Detroit was going to run up the score like that, man, because when I looked up, man, in the third quarter, man, it was like mid third quarter. My man's, I don't know what it is, and we talked about this too, man. A lot of kids are getting demoted, man. Most of these running backs, and my man's Jamal Williams end up taking over, and it seems like Swift is usually like an afterthought now because how many? I think he had like two touchdowns or something like that, three. And Jamal Williams really been getting off, man, when they use him as the bell cow now. And definitely we talked about how him it seemed basically definitely like Swift got demoted though, man, because he's definitely been an afterthought in the run game.
We actually talking some pertinent Lions football in the end of November. Imagine that. But that being said, yeah, Jamal Williams, he is tied for the league lead in rushing touchdowns. Remember, he's only had one fumble his whole NFL career. One. That is impressive in and of itself, since he's been playing several years now. But yeah, I think remember this is a contract year for Jamal as well. So he playing like he's trying to get paid. I ain't mad at it. And the other running back we got, Jackson, he's looking pretty decent as well. I think Swift become the afterthought because his fellow running backs is outplaying him right now.
Man, you know what's crazy too? Not only is it that he actually start to take the reins as the running back number one, we talk about what's the kid's name? Pacheco
With the Chiefs,
with
yeah.
the Chiefs.
I
He
like
ended
that.
up Clyde Edwards Hilaire spot. And it just seems like Andy Reid wanted to give Clyde Edwards Hilaire more reps. But we know Pacheco ended up taking over those reps, man. And we looked at it at first. I thought for the last few weeks that he was hurt, but then they just said that Pacheco actually beat him on the rep chart, and then they gave him the actual job. It was sad because it wasn't like they felt like he was outplayed or anything. It was just I think that he outworked Clyde Hilaire. And then all of a sudden he turned around and now he's on IR. So that made it a guarantee his job. But and then we seen too with Tampa, man, how my
Either
man's
White, exactly.
Fournette lost his job to White, and I see that though, man, because for the last 2 weeks when they won, speaking of Tampa, they won those games because they had balance, man. Because they didn't respect the run game because Leonard Fournette wasn't running well, but now you got this
That's why
kid
you do that
respect.
stupid stuff like you did with the doggone whatever you want to call that play where you threw it to Tom Brady.
Oh man, that was terrible. But
Worst play
that's
of the
something they
year
should
by far.
play because I think that would have been a even worse game this blowout if they didn't do that stupid play. And yeah, that play they didn't throw that out. They played, but leave that Philly special alone. But
Absolutely.
I just felt like I looked at that and I asked you like, how did you feel about that? Because it really surprised me because they just signed Leonard for that to like a 2 year extension to stay with them. And I'm thinking now with you had Keshawn Vaughn over there, who I think was an exceptional running back that got in the third round last year, and then to get Rashad White, man, who's a better he's a great runner, but even a great pass catcher too. He reminds you of the kid who was over with New England who could catch the ball out the backfield real good too, man. And he just retired. I forgot his name, man. I'm tripping. James White. That's
Right.
who he reminded me of. But yeah, I definitely think Leonard Fournette, man, after this year, man, he don't have a home. I think the Clyde Hilaire might still have opportunity. to get some of them reps back and get the respect of the first team in the run game. But I don't know about Swift, man. I think we always talk about it. You know my thing, man. The best ability is availability, and Swift has been out a lot, man. So I think that's definitely
I
Jamal.
mean, at this point, if he's not playing this next week or two, I say we go on here prepared to get him traded for the offseason, get another one of those second or third round picks if we can, and basically draft his replacement in the draft. It's gonna be a lot of pretty decent running backs coming out of college this year. Just as soon have one of them, like a
We
Blake
need one.
or, or Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State, somebody along them lines.
We need one of them gadget backs who can catch the ball out the backfield too, and who can run. And I'm not saying he's gonna be running like Jamal Williams, like in between the lines, man. Straight up the gut. But we need one of them swifty like gadget
Like I
backs who
said,
can catch the
like I
ball.
said, that guy Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State, that sounds exactly like what you're talking about.
We definitely can use that. Yeah, man. It's just been really crazy as far as the parity in the league. Because on any given Sunday, man, I respect that now. Ian, not only that. But it's been some great play, man. And yeah, this week probably be a little bit more lousy than others. I might be doing more snacking or sleeping than normal this weekend. But yeah, it's football, man. So I'm gonna definitely be all in regardless.
Right on, right
Just see
on.
E want to hit us with an audible, man. We ain't get a chance to. We ain't really talk about too much NBA, man. Because
Oh,
usually,
we got to go there for a few, absolutely.
yeah, man. I just seen the news on the Robert Williams update. They said with Robert Williams with the Celtics, he's expected to return by Christmas after ongoing his after having his knee surgery. So he'll be available by that time. And they're
I'm
already
really hoping that he's not coming back until he is fully 100%. We done seen too many people this year already out, and the primary thing that they're out with is something to do with their knee or their ankle. I don't want to say, especially for that young man, because when you look at how well he played in the playoffs last year for Boston, a fully 100% Robert Williams is scary, especially if he's been working on any of his offensive moves while he's been out. If you can get him a nice little baby hook or a couple little bumper jumpers, as we call them in the hood, a little something off the glass, yeah, it could get real interesting in Boston.
Man, I'm looking in on the games too, man. I'm about to give you the game updates. Boston's kind of manhandling the Mavericks. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but it's pretty much of a manhandle right now. It's still eight and a half minutes left in the second quarter, but they up, man, 28-47.
Well, Boston, they starting to step into that gear again. When all is said and done, I see Odoka not coming back because they getting that same type of play that they were getting with him in charge from this other guy. So
Yeah, whatever he doing over there, man, he keeping that thing going, man. You have the 76ers after that lackluster performance yesterday. Let me go into that right quick, E
yeah, we,
man.
we definitely got to talk about that game because there's more factors to that than just meets the eye. But go ahead.
I was surprised, for one, that my man's Ben Simmons didn't get booed as loud, but they definitely booed and they made their presence known. But to see that you
You,
didn't have,
you didn't think he got booed as loud?
huh?
You didn't think he got booed as loud?
I thought it was gonna be worse than that, knowing Philly, man.
I thought
Honestly,
they was on his head that first half for sure.
but to not have Embiid, James Harden, and Max playing, and for them to put up the bad effort they did, you couldn't beat them without three of their perennial stars, man. I was really disappointed in that because they made the other dudes look like all stars, like Shake Milton and those type of dudes, man, who don't really get that much play.
First of all, put some respect on Shake Milton's name. He's been playing pretty good this season. He definitely will be in that six man of the year conversation.
So Shake
Absolutely.
Milton, so Shake, you think that he just can come in and just do James Harden?
I ain't say all that. I said six man. I ain't say put him in the starting rotation now. I ain't tripping like
You
that.
think, okay, we talking about a team in the Nest that just
I
basically
mean, bottom line,
gracefully.
I completely agree with your opinion. The Nets did not show up last night. Keep in mind, this is the healthiest they've been all season in terms of Brooklyn. They had everybody playing. They had little brother playing, little Seth. They had, basically Kyrie is back. You had Ben playing, and actually, because all things considered, Ben played pretty well last night. At
Yeah,
least I
surprisingly enough, he did.
I
He
mean,
was
with
hitting
this
the free throws and
11,
everything.
11
He
rebounds, 7 assists, that's a pretty good game for Ben.
The Trailblazers are losing to the Cavaliers, which I kind of figured out was going to be a good game. Trailblazers are trailing by six. It's 51-57.
I'm
Minnesota Timber.
thinking that Dame Dollar's still out for Portland, is he not?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. Let me check.
I do believe so. But no, going back to that Brooklyn Philly game, basically I think the crowd definitely gave them some advantage last night with them concentrating on booing him. It was quite a bit of booing for Kyrie at times during that game as well. Kyrie was pretty much the reason I felt they lost that game because he didn't show up like he needed to. When they started to come back, actually both Ben and Kevin Durant stepped their game up defensively. So outside of course, Tobias Harris, which you definitely got to put a little bit more respect on that man's name. People forget just how good Tobias is because he's on that squad with all those other schools. And it's not really something that they require him to do. But he stepped his game up last night and became the leader when they needed him to be.
And that's a
But
rarity when it comes to Tobias. So I agree.
I really feel like it was Kyrie's responsibility to take over that game at some point, and he just didn't do. KD did what KD do, and like I said, Ben played pretty well, all things considered, especially on the defensive end. But the rest of the team, they just didn't keep up the slack. And like I said, on games like that, when you definitely don't have no great superstars to worry about on the other end, that's the game when Kyrie's supposed to throw up 40 and 50. He was not that last night. He was just Kyrie.
Yeah,
Drew.
yeah, he ain't playing. He out today. Dang.
Yep, I figured that.
Timberwolves are leading the Pacers 59-53. The Hawks,
Yawn, yawn.
the Hawks are blowing out the Kings 40-55.
Man, keep in mind, Sacramento been playing pretty decent lately, but
Yeah,
Atlanta got something going down there. Like we was talking about that yesterday. That combination of Mr. Murray and Mr. Young, I definitely like that backcourt right now. It really reminds me of the early days of Portland with CJ and Dame Dollar.
Heat is up right now 40-34 over the Wizards. The
He's
Nets
been
are up
kind of
by
forgot about lately,
who, the
I
Wizards?
the Heat, they really ain't been on the radar much. I ain't heard too much
Yeah, they haven't really been doing much neither. So
out of
yeah,
Jimmy buckets or none of them really. And the Wizards, they a little bit better than advertised, but still not no team I necessarily would want to watch on a regular basis.
Nets are leading the Raptors 46-42.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
that's that's interesting. They got back to back games. I would think that everybody's playing again tonight. I can't see them losing two in a row like that. Remember, Toronto got Van Vliet just now coming back, so he ain't 100%. And I do believe Siakam is still out for them. So I think the Nets should win that game. We'll see.
But you got two first half games. The Bucks is up by two, 26-24 against the Bulls in the
Yeah, the
first
Bucks
half.
will
About
win that no problem.
yeah, most definitely. The Nuggets are basically manhandling Thunder 31-14 in the first, so that game's gonna get ugly. They're gonna
Well,
probably
not
have
necessarily so. They started out to that same type of lead a couple days ago against them Pistons and still end up losing. So and that's with both the Joker and Murray playing. So hopefully they don't have a repeat of that tonight.
and the Spurs are losing to the Pelicans 26-11. And those are the games that are actually playing right
Yeah,
now.
I wonder if Zion is back for that game. I don't think it matters against the Spurs, but just curious.
Other than that, man, not really too much else is going on, man. I'm about to go try to check out some of them games and check the scoreboard on some of those.
All right,
Hopefully they
before we go,
and
we
they
got an obligation here, Hugh. First of all, we got to talk about a couple people that didn't get mentioned just yet. I'm gonna let you talk about this guy here.
yeah, man, man, Judge, man, he been having good meetings, man. He went to San Francisco. Things went well. Jock Peterson is the one who's trying to recruit him, and they got a lot of money to spare. We talked about that yesterday. They don't really have too many people over there, man, and they can make exceptions to bring him over. And we talked about how the Dodgers was talking about just mixing up their whole team and just to get him. They said that they'll put him on the outfield. They'll have Mookie Betts play third base if possible. And yeah, man, I think a lot of teams are jockeying to get him, man. And then he basically said he wanted to be somewhere where he can win. Right now, the Yankees is on the cusp, but it's a lot of teams that he can go to, man. And I think that they can go all the way to it. I think the Dodgers is one of them, man. That's something to watch out for. Not only that, too, you still have the other New York team, the Mets, who still could be in the mix. And if they could keep the Grom, that'd be something to look out for. To have the Grom and Scherzer and some of those good guys over there, and they start line up. So yeah, it's a lot of interesting teams, man. That starting to make way to talk to that guy, man. I think that when he bet on himself, that's the best thing he could have did, and that's the worst thing that could have happened to the Yankees. So
And that
I still,
being said, did not the Yankees make him an offer last week? And yet he's still going around doing these visits. I go back to
yeah,
my statement I made a couple weeks ago, Hugh. If they do not have him signed by the end of the year, he's not coming back to the Yankees. Plain and
I
simple.
don't do that because the Yankees will have to pay him. They will have to get at least another starting pitcher, and they will still have to get another bat in that lineup. So I don't know, man.
And
If
keep
they
in
can bring
mind, if I'm
him,
the Yankees and it go down that way, you can solve all that problem with one player. You know who that is, right?
who?
One Shohei Ohtani. That
You know
solves
what?
the whole scenario. Bat,
That definitely help.
starting pitcher, boom.
If he ever went there, man, that'd definitely be on a whole nother level too,
Because
because
that's about the
he,
only way outside of signing him or maybe Mike Trout that you're gonna make up for letting Aaron Judge walk.
yeah,
Outside
because
that, you ugly.
he was having an MVP year too, man. It was just, I believe that it got overshadowed on how my man's Aaron Judge ended up beating the AL record in home runs, which I was like, man, I didn't know that was the record. I'm thinking because of all the crazy home runs was going on in the National League. So when you put light on that and seeing how he performed this year, man, that definitely was something that got a lot of teams eye, man. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised now because at first I was thinking, yeah, he'll go back to the Yankees. But yeah, if he don't sign soon, I don't think he's gonna be back. Definitely about time the winter meetings come around.
Right? And of course, shout out to Candace Parker who has said that she'll be back for another season in WNBA. I love that.
Yeah,
Definitely
that was
love that. And of course, we got to go here. Free Brittany Griner! The fuck!
it seems like things getting worse and worse for her, man. Right
Absolutely.
now, man, I wouldn't be surprised if she be out for another whole in WNBA season.
Like I said, I just don't see no way they have her do that whole 9.5 years. It just makes no sense for such a minor thing. And I know people have been saying, you got to respect the laws in other countries or whatnot, but we all know this was all a sham of a deal. They know Brittany had it on her. We, we we talk about the same thing every week. I don't even want to go there. It's just I feel bad for her family because it's the holidays and
Yeah,
it's really hard to be without your family during the holidays on both ends. I really would hate if we get a bad report about Brittany, and I don't even want to put that out in the universe, but you kind of know what I'm thinking with that. I just pray that she keeps her mind and her body strong through all this.
other than that, man, we can wrap things up because that's all I really had, man.
And that's all I got too. Basically, everybody have a wonderful holiday. Thanks to everybody that checked in tonight.
Definitely appreciate that.
Keon and Road and Miss Pat. I was surprised we didn't hear from our boy Pride, but shout out to you, brother. Shout out to Coach Will and Coach V. and all our regular people that watch the show. Appreciate y'all. And we'll be back again next week, y'all.
Yep. See y'all
Until
next
then,
week.
y'all know what it is. This has been Game Time Audible. That's that dude Hugh. I'm your boy E Beezy. And as soon as we find the proper hookup, we about to be out. You know what to do, Hugh. Go ahead, throw them up, throw them up.
Till next week.
Peace, baby. Game Time Audible is a Nighthawk Network.